Okay, so if you're part of Generation X, you might feel like you're in a pretty unique financial pressure cooker. You were told retirement would look one way, but let's be honest, reality has turned out to be something completely different. So in this explainer, we're going to break down those unique challenges, talk about the mindset you need, and build a playbook specifically for the so-called forgotten generation.
This feeling right here, this is where it all starts for so many people. I mean, after decades of hard work, that burnout is no joke. It's that deep down exhaustion that makes the idea of retirement feel so close, yet at the same time, completely out of reach. And if you're a Gen Xer in your 50s, I'm willing to bet you know exactly what this feels like.
And this slide just gets to the heart of the disconnect, doesn't it? Gen X was raised on this very clear promise. You work hard, you stay loyal to a company, and you get a nice, comfortable pension as your reward. But the reality they walked into? A world of constant job hopping, DIY retirement plans that nobody really explained, and this nagging feeling in the back of your mind that maybe, just maybe, you're never going to be able to retire.
So let's really dig into the specifics of this challenge. We're talking about 65 million Americans who, more often than not, feel totally stuck in the middle, overshadowed by the massive baby boomer generation ahead of them and the endlessly analyzed millennials right behind them. You know, it's really time we put that whole slacker generation myth to bed for good. Because the truth is, the odds were kind of stacked against this generation from the very beginning. They weren't slacking. They were trying to figure out a completely new economic world with no instructions.
So if slacker isn't the right word, then what was really going on? Well, the answer is they were caught in the crossfire of one economic storm after another, which made saving for a secure retirement feel like an almost impossible goal.
See, it wasn't just one bad event. It was this relentless series of economic gut punches. Pensions basically vanished right as they were starting their careers. Then the dot-com bubble burst just as they were starting to build some wealth. Then the Great Recession hit them right in their prime earning years. And of course, the pandemic threw the entire global economy into chaos. Each one of these was a major setback for anyone trying to save consistently. This quote just nails it. It perfectly captures what those early days of the 401k were like. Gen X was basically the guinea pig for this whole new system. It was like being handed the keys to a car, but with zero driver's ed. There was almost no financial education, hardly any investment options, and good luck finding someone to explain what a mutual fund even was.
And on top of all that economic chaos, you have this massive pressure at home. Many Gen Xers are what we call sandwiched. They're paying for their kids' college bills while also helping to care for and often financially support their own aging parents. That's a huge drain on your money right at the time you're supposed to be ramping up your own savings.
So you add all of this up, and what's the result? Well, this chart says it all. The fear of running out of money is right up there with the fear of getting a serious illness. I mean, think about that. That is a profound level of financial anxiety, and it shows you how decades of uncertainty have really shaped how they look at the future. And this isn't just about things that happened in the past. The challenges are hitting them hard right now. 2/3 are worried about inflation. Over half are stressed about healthcare costs. When you're constantly fighting these fires right in front of you, it's incredibly difficult to focus on long-term goals like saving for retirement.
Okay, so we've painted a pretty tough picture so far. I get it, but this is where the story takes a really interesting turn, because buried inside all of that worry and anxiety is what we're calling the Gen X paradox. They are a group that is both incredibly worried and incredibly scrappy.
First, the worried part. Research from Corebridge Financial found that less than half of Gen X, just 44%, feel very confident managing their daily finances. That is the lowest of any generation, and it really reflects this deep feeling of being financially behind the curve.
But, and this is a huge but, that's only one side of the coin. This quote here is the other side. This was the generation of latchkey kids, right? They were raised to be fiercely independent. They didn't have parents hovering over them. They just figured things out on their own.
And that right there, that is the Gen X paradox. All of that instability and chaos didn't just create anxiety, it actually forged resilience. They are pragmatic, they're nimble, and they are used to adapting to whatever gets thrown at them. The very things that made their journey so much harder are now their greatest strengths. It's time to stop thinking slacker and start thinking survivor.
So, how do you take that scrappy survivor instinct and put it to work for you? Well, it's time to open up the playbook. This is the practical, actionable part of our talk, and it's all about helping you reclaim your financial future by leaning into those strengths you already have.
It all starts with what we call the inner game. Author Carrie Hannon suggests this HOVER method. It stands for hope, optimism, value, and enthusiasm. And that last one, R, is for resilience, which, as we've been saying, is basically the Gen X superpower. The big idea here is that these aren't just things you either have or you don't. They are skills you can actively build and get better at.
Now, once you get the mindset right, you can start to master the outer game. Let's focus on 3 really high-impact strategies. Designing what's called an Encore career, delaying Social Security to maximize your benefits, and getting serious about your budget.
An Encore career isn't just about working longer. It's about working smarter and happier. Maybe it's part-time, maybe it's consulting, or maybe it's finally turning a hobby into a side hustle. The financial win is huge. It lets your retirement savings keep growing for a few more years. But just as important are the psychological benefits. You stay engaged, you feel relevant, and you keep those social connections that are so important.
Okay, this one is so simple but so incredibly powerful. You get a guaranteed 8% bump in your check for every year you wait. I mean, think about that. It's a risk-free return you literally cannot find anywhere else. If that Encore career can help you bridge the financial gap for just a few years, the lifetime payoff from this strategy is massive.
All right, so we've covered the challenges, we've talked about the mindset shift, and we've walked through the playbook. But understanding the plan is one thing. Putting it into motion, well, that's another. And at the end of the day, action is everything.
Here's the main takeaway I want you to remember. The hurdles are real. No one is denying that. But that scrappy, independent, all-figure-it-out nature that defines Generation X, that is the exact toolkit you need to clear those hurdles. This isn't about wishing for an easier path. It's about realizing you're uniquely equipped for the path you're on.
And that's really the final question, isn't it? From new technology to economic recessions to huge shifts in the workplace, your entire life has been one long masterclass in how to adapt. This is just the next chapter. It's not the end of the road. It's simply the next pivot you were born to make.